McKinney keeps getting ranked as one of the best places to live in Dallas, but is it really? Let's break it down. If this is your first time to this channel and you want to know everything about Dallas, then make sure to subscribe below, click the bell notification so you're the first to know of the market update in Dallas, Texas. My name is Daniel, I'm a realtor and a loan officer, and if you're thinking of moving in a few weeks, a few months, a year down the line, feel free to call, text, email, whatever you prefer. I'm happy to help you move to Dallas, Texas. Maybe you're thinking of moving to McKinney, Texas. Well, I want to share with you the pros and cons of McKinney, Texas, so you have a better understanding of what it's like before you move out here. The very first pro in McKinney is that house prices are still affordable. Now, when I say affordable, I'm not talking about that the other cities are expensive, but what I'm talking about is here in Dallas, DFW, Dallas Fort Worth area, when we're talking about like all these cities and we compare city by city by city, then we talk about how other suburbs are priced pretty high in comparison to other cities. So a lot of the houses here in DFW are very cheap in comparison to other major cities in like states such as New York or Illinois, Chicago over there, or California, etc. But here in DFW in Dallas Fort Worth area, McKinney in comparison to other cities are fairly cheap. Now, I'm not talking about like all the cities, but I'm talking about like certain cities, and McKinney is pretty cheap. For example, if you talk about Frisco, where house prices have skyrocketed so much recently, Frisco, right next to Frisco is McKinney, neighbors to each other. And so when we're talking about neighbors, then we compare McKinney house prices versus Frisco house prices, then yes, McKinney is fairly cheap on that end. So number one, house prices are very reasonable and still affordable here in McKinney. The second pro is that McKinney has a very good school district. And not, of course, all schools are perfect and they're not all great, but for the most part, generally speaking, McKinney School District is ranked really high. And so this is one of the reasons why people love to move to McKinney. So the very first pro is that house prices here are affordable, rather on the cheaper end in comparison to cities such as Frisco, or even like Allen. Allen is more expensive than McKinney. And so when we compare these cities with great school districts, and then you have McKinney with the great school district, this is a reason why a lot of people want to live in McKinney, because it's not too far off, but school districts are great and house prices are lower. The third pro is that McKinney is a developing city. There's still a lot of potential growth in McKinney. Now, not in comparison to like, for example, Prosper or Salina, which they are still developing, but McKinney is also still developing. McKinney has, of course, been established for quite some time. There has been a lot of growth recently, but it's still a growing city. And because of that potential growth, people who move out here, let's say, buy a house at an affordable price, will later most likely, not 100% guarantee, but most likely see their house prices appreciate. And so that's the good thing about McKinney, is that we are seeing a lot of development here. A lot of it has already been developed, but it's still developing. So that makes McKinney a great city. Now that you know the pros of McKinney, let's talk about the cons, because no city is perfect, right? There's always good and there's always bad to a city. And there's, of course, several things that's not so great about McKinney. So the very first con that I want to mention about McKinney is its location. Now you might be thinking, well, isn't McKinney right next door to Frisco? Yes, that's true. Frisco is in a great location. Well, it really depends about Frisco. If you live kind of on the south side of Frisco, then you're a great location. If you're living in the north side of Frisco, then you're a bit farther away, but of course you got the toll right there, so that's okay. But it really depends where in Frisco you live. And that's the same with McKinney. Now, if you're living on the south side of McKinney, you're right next to 121, you're right next to 75, then you're in a great location. But for the most part, McKinney is just kind of like a big square, a big circle. And so for the most part, most people don't live like in the south side of McKinney because that's a small population. Most people live probably in the center or in the north side of McKinney, or more in the east or the west. It just really depends. And so because of those different areas in McKinney, overall McKinney is not in a great location. To get to like the toll, if you were, let's say, in the center of McKinney, then you're talking about like 10 minutes or so. If you live on the north side, then you're talking about like 15 minutes to get to the toll. You do got the 380, but that of course isn't like your access down to downtown Dallas or to, let's say, Plano, Allen, or other parts of Dallas, DFW, the suburbs. But when we're talking about like, for the most part of McKinney, most people live kind of far away from the toll. So that's kind of the downside of the location. Now, when we talk about what's around McKinney, there's Frisco, which is west of McKinney. There is Allen, which is south of McKinney. So those are like the two main cities that you can go to kind of hang out. You can go to like the Allen outlets. You can go to Frisco, like Stonebriar Mall. You got Legacy West. You got other places to go. But when we're talking about like north of McKinney, there isn't really much to do because you got like cities such as Anna, Melissa, and they're still developing and there's not a lot of things to do there. And we talk about like east of McKinney, you're talking about like Fairview or Princeton, and those areas are still developing as well. So there isn't much to do besides going to like Frisco, Allen, besides going west or south. That's kind of the downside of the location of McKinney. The second con of McKinney is that the schools are getting overcrowded. We're seeing a lot of students just kind of moving into McKinney, and everyone's just trying to go to either McKinney ISD or of course Allen ISD or Frisco ISD nearby, but McKinney definitely is getting overcrowded. So we are seeing a lot of schools getting overcrowded with that. And so there's a lot of demand for the schools out here. So just be cautious of that. Of course, you can enroll your kid into school. That's not going to be a problem, but we are seeing schools getting overcrowded here. And the third con has to do with McKinney being a city where you can't walk much. It's not really a city that's walkable. Now, a lot of the cities, a lot of suburbs in Dallas are not walkable. You need a car here in Dallas. You cannot go to places without a car for the most part. Yeah, we got trains, we got buses, but they're very limited because Texas, this DFW land is so big, so large, and therefore you just can't go to a lot of places by walking. That's why you need a car. And so a lot of these cities, yes, you do need a car, but McKinney is kind of even more so. We got downtown McKinney, historic downtown McKinney, where you can just walk. But of course, to get there, how are you gonna get there? You probably most likely need a car. But like certain other suburbs, yeah, you can walk here and there a little bit, not too much, but McKinney is a bit more where if you want to go to places, you're going to definitely need a car here in McKinney. So what are my thoughts of McKinney? I think McKinney is a great city. The reason I say it's a great city is because houses here are still affordable. If you want to live in, let's say, Allen or Frisco and house prices are a bit too high for you, then yeah, you do have to sacrifice location. And if you're okay with that, then McKinney is a great city because it makes it more affordable for a lot of people, where having that mortgage payment of every month gotta pay that is not so much of a burden for families. So that is why I think McKinney is a great city, not just house prices being affordable, but also because of the school district being so great. So it's a great city for families as well as those who are retiring. So there you go, the pros and cons of living in McKinney, and I'm sure that helped you out. And if you're thinking of moving in a few weeks, a few months, or a year down the line, feel free to call, text, email, whatever you prefer. I'm happy to help you move to Dallas, Texas. And if you like this video, make sure to click that like button. If you haven't done so, make sure to subscribe below. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.